What's up? I'm AJ. Welcome back to Gen Z Garage. Thank you for following along in my journey of repairing my Fiero. In the previous video, if you couldn't tell from this giant thing here, we removed the engine, this mega chunker, and this video, we are going to be putting the engine onto the engine stand. And we're also going to be fixing this. We should not be doing that at all.
In the last video, we removed the engine cradle by lifting the Fiero high enough off the ground to get enough clearance for us to slide it out. With the engine cradle out of the way, we lowered the car back onto the jack stands. The goal today will be to begin disassembling some of the suspension so that when we separate the motor, we can lift it off the cradle and onto the engine stand. So let's get to it. I'll start with the suspension first. I spray the threads with PB Blaster on both sides. This will make it easier for the nuts to come off with the impact gun. The struts are held in place by 2 bolts on either side. These bolts are massive since they effectively attach the entire upper part of the wheel knuckle to the spring assembly. I use a crescent wrench on the back while I use the impact gun on the nuts. I will definitely have to save these bolts as new struts generally do not come with new ones. My dad has a spare set from a car he stripped years ago, but these are in good shape. I'll throw them in the rock tumbler and they'll come out looking brand new. With the bolts removed, I can wiggle it free. Next, I removed the 2 nuts that attach to the front motor mount to the front engine support bracket. These are hard to get to, so it takes a while to remove them. These 2 nuts, along with the bell housing bolts, must be removed before the motor can be separated from the subframe cradle. With the front engine bracket disconnected, I position the engine hoist to attach it to the motor before I begin removing the bell housing bolts. I'll use the engine leveler to provide proper weight distribution across the motor and attach it at various points from the cylinder head. I then begin to add some tension to the engine from the hoist. This will ensure proper tension across the bell housing and ensure the engine doesn't get damaged or fall over while the bolts are being removed. With the motor under tension, I can now begin removing the bell housing bolts. I work my way from side to side, eliminating the easiest ones first. With the engine under tension, there is no particular order for removal. Unfortunately, these bolts don't all belong in the slot where they were installed. It appears as though when the clutch was replaced, they put them all back in a different order and even used the wrong size. I'll likely be replacing all of these with new bolts. One of the incorrectly installed bolts was too long and actually pushed the front of the solenoid, which you can see here. Isn't that caked on oil and grease delicious? I wonder what it would look like spread on a piece of toast. With all the bolts removed, I'll use a wedge to pry apart the bell housing from the same location. I move back around the engine hoist and begin lifting the engine. First, it pops off the motor mount, and then the bell housing separates with a satisfying clunk. With the engine up and out of the way, I slide the rest of the cradle out from under it, and then move the engine stand in place. I reposition the hoist and stand to give it a bit more room, and then remove the engine bracket so that I can attach it to the engine. Before I can attach it though, I'll remove the clutch from the flywheel. It's held in place by 6 13mm bolts.
I was not expecting that.
With the clutch removed, I'll attach the engine stand bracket, lower the engine, and guide it into the engine stand socket. With the motor firmly on the engine stand, I can reduce the tension on the engine hoist and begin removing the bolt and engine leveler. Now, we roll it outside for some pressure washing. First, I pressure wash the motor. Normally, you'd want to block the intake and exhaust holes, but I'll be disassembling this motor within the next few days, so I'm not overly concerned. Then I move on to cleaning the rest of the engine cradle. I need to get this clean before I can disassemble it and paint it. And finally, I direct my attention to the transmission. We'll need to remove this from the cradle too, since I'll be taking it to a transmission shop to drop it off for service.
Thank you for watching this episode of Gen Z Garage, where we removed the engine from the subframe and then pressure washed both of them, and then there was a firefly. Thank you for watching this episode of Gen Z Garage, where we removed the engine from the subframe and then pressure washed both of them, and a quarter of the dirt got inside of my body. I probably consumed a lot of it. Another quarter is covering my body, and the other half is variously scattered throughout the driveway and this car. In the next episode, we're going to be removing the transmission, and I've never done this before, so we're going to be using books, the Fiero books from the motor book store to help me out. If you enjoyed and you want to see the next video when it comes out, make sure to like and subscribe. This was very fun to do. I'm covered in dirt though, and I'm kind of tired, but it was still very fun to do. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
Wow, the new Pontiac! What a sweetheart! The Pontiac! What a beauty! The new Pontiac. What a gas. Break away in a wide track in Pontiac.
Don't get left behind. See your Pontiac dealer and break away.